Hi, everyone. This is David S., he, him pronouns, and this is session 11 of Hearts of Wulin, Odyssey of Jade and Stars. This is the penultimate session, last or second to last one before we're all done. We've got 3 people here with us today, so let's go ahead with a quick round of player and character introductions, starting with Greg.
Just as I'm trying to change my name on screen. Hi, my name is Greg, pronouns he, him, and I am playing Yelang, or Night Wolf, who used to be a member of a respected sect, but had a brush with death and was brought back as a twisted and demonic version of myself. And he is no longer entirely human, as shown last time when I ended up murdering one of my former underlings just to keep my identity secret. So he's very conflicted about his role serving his shadowy master, the Unseen Hand, but is still bent on revenge on his former master, Miao Renqing, who sent him to meet this terrible fate.
Awesome. I'm very excited about the murder. Jose, I think you are next.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Jose, and my pronouns are he and him, and I'm playing Zhou Jiang, whose pronouns are also he and him. Zhou Jiang is a bodyguard, a member of the Waxing Crescent. He's not quite a disaster twink, but he's aspiring to be one. He's cursed. Bad shit happens to him of a supernatural sort normally, and he's still trying to figure out why that is. It's been a mystery the whole run. Last episode, he managed, with the help of his friends, to liberate his demon lover, Song Tian, from this opera mask. But in doing so, they are afraid that they've garnered the interest again of his salamander demon father, who's probably going to come after us at some point. All about the elixir, which is what everybody wants, which is in the hands of naive Cloud Crow. But that's what I remember from last time, and yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, all right, let's go over to Maria.
Yes, hello, I'm Maria, use she, her pronouns, and I am playing Wu Qiufeng, who uses they, he pronouns. Wu Qiufeng is a reborn villain who also now has with them their very opinionated grandmother, who does not necessarily approve of the path that they have taken in their first and second lives. Qiufeng is kind of Yelang's rival for revenge on Miao Renqing. They are both now part of the Unseen Hand, or minions of the Unseen Hand, though which one of them is the better minion in the eyes of their master is something that Qiufeng wishes to change, possibly to the detriment of his relationship with his grandmother. But now, yeah, Qiufeng is seeking the elixir to try and find favor, and also would like to prove that they are better than Yelang, and I think, at the same time, maybe win Zhou Jiang's heart. Maybe they had some connection in a cold pond once. Maybe that could be more. But yeah, so that's Qiufeng. They are also possibly a disaster, but it's fine.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and get started then. I'm thinking of starting off here with Zhou Jiang. Is there a scene you would like to call? We can also hard frame something. I just didn't know where you wanted to pick up, because we kind of left you hanging after the last session. You were taking off into the woods with your boy love. And what happens next?
If you have an idea, I'd love to take a suggestion. I mean, obviously we ran off, but and whether we ran off in a different direction than everybody else, because there's some fighting that happened after we ran off. So we may have gotten separated from our friends.
Mm-hmm. So I think if we're gonna set something up that's a little bit more hard framed, I'm thinking that once everyone gets a bit of distance, I imagine it's gonna be just you and Song Tian in this summer's forest, the sun beginning to set, golden rays cascading through the bright green boughs of the Chinese maple. I think there will be a whistling sound as an arrow containing a message twang into the trunk of a nearby tree. Upon inspection, the message appears to be from Violet Widow,
Oh,
and they seek an audience with you, Zhou Jiang. They ask you to come alone and to meet at the side of the lake from which Ardent Maple draws their fish this night.
okay. So as I recall, Violet Widow had asked or had suggested a pact where I would provide a lock of hair in exchange for information about my curse that she might have. And I still am not aware that she's my granny or any of the other complexities. How do I respond? Hold on 1 second. I think Zhou Jiang first looks over at Song Tian. Song Tian looks like he's in shock. And traumatized. And yeah, so he feels conflicted about leaving Song Tian, but he just rescued him. Damn this Violet Widow, she's so inopportune with her requests. I think Jiang is going to say to Song Tian, we need to take you someplace safe. And as I recall, there was a place in like a cabin in the forest. That's where Cloud Crow first found Song Tian. That was kind of a hideout in the forest. And I think Jiang is going to suggest that we make our way there. And as they're walking stealthily in the dying light to get there, he feels, well, no, he does not. Song Tian is still in shock. He's not feeling Song Tian into anything. He's gonna keep him in the dark, so to speak. And then when they arrive at the and if Song Tian wants to say anything in his shock state, there's plenty of space for that. But I imagine approaching the cabin and then entering after a quick inspection to see if there's any supernatural activity in the area, which Jiang is good at noting. And then Jiang says to Song Tian, I need to leave you briefly here. I need to okay, I think I have to roll inner conflict here immediately. I think you've already set it up. I mean, I'm going to have to roll inner conflict because Jiang doesn't want to leave his lover who's in shock and possibly threatened by his father returning. And at the same time, he wants to get information about the curse. And I think he's already decided he's not going to give Black Widow a lock of Song Tian's hair, but he has another plan. He doesn't know what it is yet, but we'll find out. And so let me roll inner conflict. Let's see what happens from that, and then maybe that'll give me an idea.
And
I
which
roll with
element
a
are you thinking?
non-style element, right?
Yes.
Let's see which one would make sense here. I don't know. Oh, curiosity maybe? Wood? Let's try wood. Because that's I'm going, or I want to go, because I'm curious about the what she might be able to tell me. That's what's drawing me away. Right. Let's see what happens. Okay, it's an 8. Oh, I get experience. I guess that's one thing.
You do get experience for rolling inner conflict.
And on an 8, what happens on inner conflict? I must either flee the scene or mark an element to keep my stealth steady. I guess well, fleeing the scene is not. I don't think that makes sense. Because that's what the conflict is all about, whether I stay or go. So why don't I mark an element? And is there anyone that's connected to like indecision?
Well, there's uncertain, but that's your style element.
Oh, but that's my style element.
Yeah, you might not want to mark that.
I might not want to mark that one. Why don't I just mark the one that I just used, which was wood, for this roll? That makes sense. And okay, I have to decide what I want to do. At this point, I think the mechanics are resolved, right? For the
mechanically, things are resolved, yes. And if you would like, we can cut over to Yelang and or Qiufeng while you get that worked out.
Sounds great.
Okay, sounds good. So I will kick it over, I think, to Qiufeng at this point. Now, I really, it might be both of you, both Yelang and Qiufeng, because you were both together at the conclusion of the last session. But Qiufeng, I'll kick it over to you. What do you want to do here?
Let me see. I think so. Last time, I think where we left off, or when we last saw them, they were trying to be snarky to Yelang, and I don't know whether or not that worked or not. I think, and they had just like defeated, or they had just watched Yelang do a lot of defeating and not actually done any defeating themselves. So I don't know if we probably don't want to be still there. I assume, Greg, like, do you think that there's more to see from that place, or should we just?
I don't think so, really.
Yeah. What does Qiufeng want to do? I think so. I had that in my mind that maybe Qiufeng would try and go seek the elixir or something, but since Cloud Crow has that, I don't know how we want to deal with that, since Cloud Crow is another PC. But maybe if you have any ideas, or if you want to go to Yelang, if you have more of an idea of what you want to do, while I ponder and try to
I do like I like the idea of having the elixir in play, but all we know is that Cloud Crow hid it, and I don't think it was clear where or who has possession of it, if anyone. So I'm not sure. Yelang, what do you want to do? I think I'll pass it to you.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe now that Miao Renqing has another life to pay for, maybe try and gain scale on Miao Renqing.
That sounds reasonable. So how are you thinking of doing that?
I'm thinking he can deal with poisons, but now I have access to this demonic energy. So maybe some kind of poison that is imbued with demonic energy that he couldn't counteract. So basically going back to headquarters and doing some research.
When you say headquarters, you mean the unseen hand?
The unseen hand, yes.
All right. All right. So are we thinking the new technique move here?
Trying to remember exactly.
That's what you would use to gain scale on him if you're trying to develop a new technique to face an NPC. Yes. Okay. So it says to roll with the number of times you've seen their fighting form. I imagine you have seen it many times in the past, but just none during the course of this quarterly. So sure. Are we thinking a flat roll then? That's kind of where I'm leaning toward, because otherwise you could have an arbitrarily high amount of times you've seen his fighting form.
Sure. Let's just go with flats.
Okay.
Trying to think of how to describe it, what he'd be doing. I think we see him sort of in a kind of a lab, sort of an apothecary type thing, and he's got something brewing, and you see him reach up and put in first it's this sort of evil bubbling liquid, and into it he first puts a centipede, then a large, very poisonous spider, very bright colors, and then again a very brightly colored, very poisonous snake, and then a toad. And finally, the fifth one, who I can't remember at the moment, but the 5 poisonous animals, and then holds his hands around the container and starts emitting a sort of the evil purple glow that he has, and takes it out, and you also have a very cute tabby.
So it's a lot of harnessing the venom of various poisonous animals to produce
and infusing it with
yes,
with his evil energies, and then you see him take it and go down to the cells within the dungeons of the unseen hand, where they have poor piteous prisoners, and I just take a drop of it and open up a cell, get the guards to open up a cell, walk in, take just a drop of it on a needle and stick one of the prisoners who seems, kind of in a bad way. So, this maybe I'll get some use out of them. And sticks at him and observes the effects. And let's make the roll to see. how that turns out. Oh, it's flat, right? I'm not rolling with an element.
Right. Well, it's with the number of times you've seen they're fighting for him. So in this case,
Yep.
flat. Yes.
Ooh, an 8.
All right. So that'll get you there. However, there is a significant cost to learning the move. I think, well, first, can you describe the technique? Like, how would this be the thing that can successfully counter the demonic wards that Miao Renxing specializes in creating?
I think it's just the combination of poison and demonic energy together is too much for him to deal with, and the way they're sort of interwoven into each other. He can block one but not the other. That sort of thing.
Very good. I think the cost of the move or the complication that comes with it is because this is demonic, dark energy, dark magic that you're utilizing here. I think the move can work, but it can only be used at night.
Okay.
So any fighting with Miao Renxing that is going to work for you has to occur during the evening hours. And what happens to the prisoner?
Oh, he dies horribly, of course.
Great.
But I, take his pulses as he's dying and observe the wound and so on, just to make sure that it's having the effects that I think it might have.
If Miao Renxing suffers a 10th as much as this one did, then I think you will have been, it will be satisfying. Yeah, we'll veil it, but it wasn't pretty, the way this guy goes out. Good. So with that being said, Qiufeng, do you have any ideas here, or should we hard frame something?
I thought of something.
Ooh, okay.
I guess where is it possible for Qiufeng to run across Song Tian somewhere? Because I kind of want to use my move, the Untamed.
Oh no,
which is
not
what
that.
I
Oh
call
yeah.
on my
I was
past life.
wondering. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think if there's like if
In this sort of fiction, people just show up
yeah
for plot reasons.
yeah
So.
I think I just wandering through the woods wherever.
I'm gonna leave him alone. Just
Great.
we don't know that yet, but I will leave him alone. So you'll have an opportunity to come across him if you're following somehow.
Yeah, of course I'd be following. Why would I not be following my totally platonic friend? But yeah, I think that's what I'd like to do, is to use the Untamed move, and like, whether through a conversation or through watching Song Tian try and figure out exactly what their relationship is with Zhou Jiang. Because I don't think I think I met Zhou Jiang after Song Tian, the loss of the initial losses of Song Tian and the rest of Zhou Jiang's family group. So yeah.
Very good. So I think that Jiang, if you were going to leave Song Tian alone, it would be in the evening. So if we're setting the scene here, Qiufeng, you are again in the summer forest. There are crickets and fireflies and the gentle thrum of cicadas as you stalk through these woods that are just lush with life. And as it so happens, I think you come upon, did we decide, Jiang, was it a cave or a cottage?
You might be right. Maybe it was a cave. Yeah, I think it was a cave. Yeah, I thought it was a cabin, but I think it is a cave. Yeah.
Mm. And I think that there is, oh, I'm sorry, did you say cave?
Cave. Yeah,
Cave.
I think
So
that was what it was. Yeah.
good. We have a small bluff into which you see the opening, the entrance to this small cavern, almost kind of like a den of sorts. And you see the gentle flicker of firelight coming from within, and the very faint sounds of kind of like a beautiful song. You know, some young man is singing a sad, wistful song of lost love, and it's very poetic. It's quite alluring. So how do you want to approach this?
Um, yeah, I think Qifeng lingers at the edge of the cavern in the darkness for a little bit, like outside the ring of the firelight, listening to the song. Um, but then I think when the song fades, uh, like Qifeng kind of steps out of the shadows and just like leans up against the cave wall, crosses their arms, and goes, "So who are you?"
And what you see before you is none other than Song Tian. He has made a small evening's fire and is cooking something over a little kettle pot that he's kind of arranged. He is evidently in the midst of composing what looks like the beginnings of a poem. He's got a scroll of parchment, and he has a calligraphy brush and is composing these elaborate characters. And it's difficult to make out exactly line by line what he's writing, but it seems to be a love poem. He looks to you. "I'm Song Tian," he says, kind of uprighting himself. He seems threatened almost, or at least defensive. He doesn't know you. And you?
Well, I'm a friend of Zhou Jiang's.
Well, I've never met you before.
No, that's because you were gone by the time I got here. Though I suppose that wasn't your fault, was it? I'm sorry. Why exactly is it that, well, you seem distracting to Jiang?
You're asking, why do you seem distracting to John? Just out
Yes.
of character. Okay.
Yeah. I think in that, like, Qifeng is thinking about how they came across Jiang doing that training and like doing the training badly in the past.
He looks at you with this confusion almost and says, "Well, how good of friends can you be with Jiang? Surely you know that I am lovers." We are
So
lovers.
Are you still?
Are we still? More than ever.
So you would say that you have no interest in Jiang's downfall or any harm coming to him?
Of course not. Who are you? And he will kind of stand up in this sort of indignant kind of manner. He doesn't trust clearly that you are who you say you are. He's never heard of you. You're no friend of his. What are you talking about?
Just an interested party. I I had some hand in helping our mutual friend in a time of distress.
Don't speak in riddles. Explain yourself. What is your name? What is your business here?
My name is Wu Qiufeng. It is, well, not my business to be well known. I am merely asking some questions to people who may be intimately involved with others that I would like to see advance in the world.
Well, if you want more direct answers, Zhou Jiang should return within a few hours. He's stepped away briefly, but he'll be back.
But if you're lovers, as you say, I'm sure that, well, feelings and emotions tend to blind or otherwise color how one answers when it comes to the people that people have feelings about. I decided to ask you because if you are so in love and, well, I thought I'd get a sense of who you are for myself. Seeing as Jiang seems unbalanced sometimes when they, well, I don't know. Seems like a learning sort of person.
So is this where you're kind of using the untamed move to ascertain the hidden motives of Song Tian here? Interesting.
I think so. Trying to I probe, figure out what the heck.
Yeah.
Is he actually telling the truth? Or is there something deeper there?
Sure.
So I should probably roll.
Yes. And which element would you care to roll with?
I would. This feels like I'm going with wood. I think this is curiosity. A sort of what am I up against here? Sort of thing. Let's see. That was a 12.
All right.
Wow, it's been so long since I've
this move gives you some authorial control here.
No.
Yes, it says you realize the NPC's purpose or motive is not what it appears to be, and you say what it actually is. And on a 10 plus, you get +1 forward to act on this revelation.
I really should read the move in its entirety before I roll it. Great. I don't want to take away from Song Tian's role in Jiang's story. Let's see. Do we have a sense if this is a what kind of motive?
I think he appears to be. I mean, if we're saying that his motive is, his purpose is not what it appears to be, I think it seems apparent that he is absolutely head over heels in love with Jiang. He's been with him for so long. Jiang, I mean, he's not saying this to you, but Jiang literally saved him from entrapment in an opera mask. I mean, there's all this history between the two of them. And that doesn't mean that using your move means he doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
It's just there's a twist to it.
Yeah.
Or something extra maybe that isn't being said.
Yeah.
One thing that you might want to use if you want, just spur your thinking, is something that happened before he was trapped in the opera mask. I found out through a move of some sort, that he had recently fed on human like essence, and he hadn't told me about that. And so you could weave that in somehow,
Is that like was part of a demonic ritual, or just like to make himself
we have
stronger?
no idea why
Oh,
he
okay.
did it, just that he did it. So you could make up why.
Sure. Perhaps he is in love with Xiang and likes to feed on him.
Mm. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna like throw random ideas around until it turns into something coherent. But I'm thinking, maybe it's. I like the idea that it has something to do with the feeding on human essence. Like maybe he had to feed on human essence. Oh, I had something and then it drifted away. So I think it's that could it be that Song Tian is actually okay, he's a demon lover, so he already is not human. But maybe he wants to change that and is feeding on human essence to become more human, and the like union with Jiang is like this is part of that somehow, like fully in love with Jiang or believes himself to be in love with Jiang, but there is also an element of it where, like you said, like maybe he is feeding on Jiang's human essence to like become less demonic or something like that, if any of that makes any sense.
He has good reason to
Mm-hmm.
not like his demonic heritage, given how his dad acts.
Oh yeah.
So, perhaps that could be on the table. He is feeding on Jiang. You get maybe some kind of cosmic sense of Jiang kind of coming off of him. Like, oh, wait a second. There's almost like part of Jiang that's been sort of fused into him with all of the feeding and absorption that has happened. I could see that being something you might realize, and that could be some useful information to reveal at a dramatic time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking that somehow in your past life you had encountered, the same type of
Yeah.
demon that he is, or someone connected to him, that you suddenly realize, oh,
like something about like the aura or the way that he's been writing this poem, like maybe he's putting something into the poem to help with this change or transformation. But yeah, I think like Qiufeng probably narrows their eyes at Song Tian a little when they like make that realization. And says something like, be careful that you don't confuse your relationship as an excuse to use Zhou Jiang.
You accuse me of using him?
Are you not?
You can see his fist tighten and shake, his blood beginning to boil. I think you had best leave, Wu Qiufeng.
Know that I'll have my eyes on you, Song Tian. And if you overstep any boundaries, I'm not afraid to unleash a little bit of my less than savory aspects.
And do we draw the curtain on the scene there?
Yeah, just like fade into the shadows, leave, do like a swishy robe turn and stuck out of the cave.
And I think Song Tian is just left trembling with anger and maybe one little sweat bead kind of dripping down the side of his face. And while this is going on, Jiang, what's your plan here for your dealing with Violet Widow?
Okay, so we have to rewind a little bit to before Zhang left the cave, because he was in the inner conflict. That's where we left it, and then so before this scene that we just heard, I think Zhang has laid Song Tian down on like a pallet there in the cave, and is oh, and because of his move of Hero Shed No Tears, when the inner conflict happened, he'll get another +1. He has plenty of +1s on Song Tian, but I wanted to use that kind of change the mood of an NPC and kind of to kind of soothe him from the shocked state that he's in. I hold it together somehow, and that helps him hold it together and pull himself together a little bit. So I can see him like stroking Song Tian's hair as he lays on the pallet, and then and as he's doing that, he's remembering Violet Widow's words of wanting the lock of Song Tian's hair. And then, but just as he does that, he notices something under. There's like a little rough pillow there, and he notices something there, and it's like a little folded piece of paper. And he pulls it out, and then there's a flashback. And so now I'm using my shadowboxing move. There's a flashback of, I don't want to say an unseen hand because there's so many connotations now, but it's an unseen hand. It's a hand that's seen. Actually, you see the hand. It's not unseen. It's a seen hand, and it looks like a very kind of wrinkled old hand. But that's all you see, and putting the envelope under the pillow, and I think what's in the envelope, my first instinct is that it is a lock of hair that's the same color as Song Tian's, but and there's a short note saying use this instead or something like that. And so it's from a fox demon, but it's not from Song Tian. And so I guess I have to roll the shadowboxing move now to see what is the outcome of this kind of thing.
Yes.
Oh, I need an element. I think I'll try earth. Caution. Where did I put the... Okay. Is lock of hair with an E or with just same as a lock that you close?
I believe it's no E, just regular.
No E, just no. All right. And here we go. That's a 10. Okay, on a 10, what does that move do? On a hit, it succeeds. So I've already described it, and then I've rolled. On a hit, they succeed. And 7 to 9 is with attention or reduced effort. On a miss, their interference causes you more trouble than help. Okay, that doesn't mean that Violet Widow is going to buy this thing, but you can decide about that. But I have this false lock of hair now. So then Zhang leaves the cave, telling Song Tian he'll be back in a couple of hours, and we can do the scene if I could go to the lake, or we can come back to me to do the scene at the lake. It's up to you.
let's see here. I think that was just getting things set up. But that being said, I could see the scene taking a little bit of time, and we're close to the top of the hour. So maybe we'll cut away just for a moment and go to Yelang,
Sounds good.
and then kind of kick things back to you at the beginning of the next after the break. So Yelang, you have got a move now that gets your scale closer to evened up with Miao Rensheng. And now that you have this demon energy coursing through your veins, where do we want to go with this?
I was thinking I would cause some trouble for Miao Rensheng by taking the page that I had ripped out of his records, talking about how he sent me to hell, knowing what would happen, and trying to get that to the person whose name I don't have yet, who is the left lieutenant of Blackwood Palace and has probably now been promoted to right lieutenant. Just to cause some mess with his underlings.
This would be a kind of an NPC that we're sort of introducing here then.
Right.
Okay. I'm just coming up with a name here. Not sure how surnames work exactly here, but I like Gengshin as a name, perhaps. I think that's how you pronounce it. Gengxin.
Geng seems weird. Gangshin would be.
Gangshin. Okay.
Maybe for some reason Hong just came out as a last name. Hong Gangshin.
Perfect. So you're looking to return the parchment that you absconded with, but you're putting it in the hands of his second in command, basically.
Yes.
The position you yourself used to occupy.
Yep.
Okay. And how do you want to do this? Are you going to kind of meet him on the road in a shadowy sort of way and hand this to him? Are you going to place it in his chambers after having snuck into the palace? Like, where do you want to take this?
Yeah, I'll just waylay him as he's out on Blackwood Palace business.
Okay. So Hong Gangshin is not going to travel alone necessarily. I imagine he is accompanied typically by a couple of attendants. And so I think you, with your intimate knowledge of Blackwood Palace's workings, would be aware of where you might find him on the road at this specific time of night. And so, how do you go about waylaying them? I imagine they would be on horseback at some crossroads, perhaps. Hong Gongshin in the center, two attendants on either side, and they would be traveling maybe to Blackwood Palace, having finished some business that they attended to during the daylight hours. So what do you want to do here?
You know what, let's just be straightforward and just appear on the road in front of them.
And as I recall, your typical outfit is rather threatening and imposing. It's
Oh,
kind of
yes.
this. Okay, so I think that, I mean, they're traveling along, glump, 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 galloping down the road. There is this big, juicy slice of moon up in the sky, this deep, rich amber yellow, sort of cascading its dark beams down to the ground below. And I think they wind the corner, and there you are. As as Young said in the chat, the horse rears back. You get the stock sound effect of a horse whinnying, and the horse clumps back down onto the ground. Hong Gong Shen, immediately upon seeing you, brings a hand to the hilt of his sword, but does not draw it. Who goes there? He calls.
My name is not important, Hong Ganshin.
You know my name, but refuse to give yours. One such as yourself would do well not to stalk these woods alone at night. There have been reports of a monster or a ghost of some kind lurking in these woods. Several of our men were routed by it just earlier today. We were out on patrol. You'd best find shelter.
Thank you for your care, but I'm well able to match anything that might come at me in these woods.
Well, if you are so confident, then I suppose our business here is concluded. Please stand aside and let us pass.
I have information for you.
He looks down at you, and you can almost feel his eyebrow raise slightly.
You know of the tragedy that befell Wu Dongshan.
The finest warrior that Blackwood Palace ever had. We are well acquainted, he and I.
Indeed. In fact, being so close to him is the reason that I thought you should know this. Please take a look, and I'll hand over the record and to say, you recognize Miao Renxing's handwriting, don't you?
Of course I do, he says, and he pulls the horse forward a bit further and takes the parchment from your hand and unfurls and looks at it. Is there an outcome you want to get here? Because I want to see if we can maybe engage mechanics in some way, but
okay.
I don't know if that makes sense or not, depending on the outcome you want to have. It feels a little hearts and mindsy to me, but I don't know if that's what you're really going for. So what are you hoping happens here?
Pretty hearts and minds. I want to have him realize that Miao Renxing has done this, and either confront Miao Renxing or just start. Actually, mostly that, just to confront Miao Renxing. Just start causing trouble for him.
Okay. So, in the absence of a different move that fits better, this feels like hearts and minds to me.
Sounds good.
Okay. What would you like to roll with?
There we go. Now it's scrolling up. I think metal.
Okay.
A 9.
Do you want to get that to a 10?
Let's see. Hearts and minds.
Although actually, on a 7 to 9, I think you might want the
You get-
alienate.
You get alienate. I was just
Right.
looking at that.
Right.
Yep, that which
probably
is
fits.
totally what I want to do.
Yeah. So I think there is this long pause as he studies closely the words written on the parchment, undoubtedly written in the hand of his own master. And I think you see his gloved hand begin to shake a little bit. And I think he crumbles the paper in his hand and looks down at you. Where did you find this? He growls.
I'm told it came from Blackwood Palace.
And to who do you owe your allegiance? Which agent?
I'm afraid I can't say.
He
Do with this information what you will. How you handle it is no concern of mine, but all I can say is I'm no friend of Miao Renqing.
He, with a trembling hand, places the paper in his pack and, unable to bring himself to thank you, just looks at the ground with a downcast expression, unable to even make eye contact with you. And he just says, "You'd best get out of my sight."
Very well. I hope we do not meet again. And I will disappear into the night.
You see his attendants lock eyes with one another, very concerned about what this man has just read. But before they can ask, he strikes his horse and takes off at a dead heat, faster than before. And we'll close the scene out there. Let's take break number 1 here. Come back in 10, so at 13:14 past.
Sounds good.
All right, we are back. I think we are gonna kick it back to Jiang real quick, and then to Wu Qiufeng. So, Jiang, any other last preparations before you make your way to the lakeside?
No more preparations. I think he's as prepared as he's going to get. Knowing that this is a dangerous meeting and that he's going to try to fool her, he knows, and he's going by himself, as she requested. And I imagine it's by the lake. That's what you said, right? That's the rendezvous.
Yes.
And I imagine it's he sees her from afar, like on a bluff, not a tall bluff, but a short bluff over the lake. And it's a summer night, so there's a warm, gentle breeze, and maybe the scent of night blooming jasmine in the air. And he's not trying to be stealthy and approaching because he knows that she is a spider in her web, and she will notice him in no matter how he approaches. But as he does approach, I think he notices that everything is very eerily quiet. There are no sound of insects that would normally be around, or cicadas or anything like that. As if everything that's alive gives Violet Widow a wide berth.
Mm-hmm. This bluff overlooks the fishing waters, and in the moonlight, you see the glimmering reflections of waves all across the lake. it looks like this dark expanse, like many, many thousands of glimmering diamonds on a bed of black velvet. There is a peaceful yet eerie quality to the landscape stretched out before you. Violet Widow sits next to a small fire that she has prepared. She has made a bed of pine boughs, and she is slowly burning them and appears to be using the smoke in the preparation of a tea that she is preparing. She has before her a small, humble tea set. And upon seeing you, she sort of gestures beside the fire and the tea and says, Zhou Jiang, it's been some time. Wouldn't you sit down?
So Jiang takes a bow and says, well met, Violet Widow. It has been some time. I will accept your hospitality.
She pours herself a small saucer of the tea that she has prepared. Would you care for any? She says. I assure you it's not poisoned.
Poison? Zhang accepts. He figures that if she's going to try to kill him, she won't just do it by poisoning him straight out with a cup of tea.
It's a smoked tea. It has this campfire-like taste to it. It's something of an acquired taste. You get the sense that it's quite polarizing. You've never had anything like it before, but it is, I mean, of good quality. Whether or not you like it or not is up to you, but it's well made. The preparation is good.
Zhang sips his tea and says, quite lovely, unusual, but interesting. As the brewer, no doubt, is.
What can I say? I've had quite a bit of time to prepare to perfect my craft. Now,
You don't show your age. You look young.
I'm not, she says. I am very old. And that reminds me, you have a gift for me, I hope.
Your timing is good. Songtian has just been released from his imprisonment, or else I would not have been able to acquire a lock of his hair. And he just holds up the lock of hair and says, so this is my half of the agreement. And yours?
As I recall, I promised you some information regarding the nature of your curse, did I not?
That's correct.
Very well, she says, and she sort of sighs heavily, almost as if she's internally preparing herself for something. She tells you, your curse extends back 2 generations, Zhou Jiang. It was actually created with the cooperation of 2 factions, one orthodox, one unorthodox. These 2 factions you are well acquainted with. The first, the monks of Five Drop Mountain, with their experiments in immortality. The second, none other than Blackwood Palace.
And Zhang just takes a little intake of breath there because he wasn't expecting that particular one.
You see, she continues, I once myself was a young monk in their service. Miao Renxing and his predecessors have long attempted to learn the secrets of immortality in a foolish bid to attain access to the celestial realms, the immortal realms, the heavenly realms above us lowly mortals. And as part of their experimentation, they sought to find a mechanism through which they might obtain power over the lower realms, ghosts, spirits, demons, things of that nature. And they found one way by which to summon those entities across the gates, which up until recently had been so thoroughly closed and shut away.
And they applied this technique to my family?
To me, she says.
To you?
The curse, she goes on to say,
He looks puzzled.
is such that anyone so afflicted will draw to them spirits, ghosts, unwholesome entities from across the cosmos. Whenever they fall affliction to strong feelings, anger, sadness, love. Such feelings to those cursed are like nectar. They bring ghosts and such across the borders like pollinating insects to a flower. And so it was that I was among their first subjects, and since have been unable to feel, to love, or even to hate, for fear of bringing more despair and death into this world. I made the choice out of resentment and bitterness to attain some sort of unholy immortality for myself, such that I might have ample time to exact revenge against my oppressors. I ran from Blackwood Palace and have sought revenge against them ever since.
Is this then my fate, that I will not be able to have any emotions?
Not without significant complications. As I said, strong emotions will summon all manner of unwholesome entities into our world.
But how is this a way to live? I cannot live in that way. That means no connections with people. That means no love. How do you manage?
You're right, she says. It is no way to live. But the curse may be undone, or at the very least, we can take revenge against those who have thrust this unwholesome existence upon us, she says, her voice raising with fervor, her eyes beginning to grow wild with this unbridled desire for revenge. She leans forward a little bit. Miao Renxing and all of Blackwood Palace, all of the monks of Five Drop Mountain, they must pay Zhou Jiang with their blood.
And this will break the curse? Or is this merely vengeance?
I wish I could tell you with certainty that it would break anything. But my life is one of only revenge right now. And I ask you for your help nonetheless. Not as someone else who is merely a revenge-crazed, bloodthirsty fiend. She looks at you, her face softening. But as your own blood.
So Zhang is not the quickest one in the, but he is beginning to put the pieces together in his head. He's like, I was told that my mother's mother, Quan Xinya, I never met her, that she blessed me upon my birth and then disappeared. Are you her? You would be very old.
Next to her, you see sort of spread out on the bluff a number of her possessions. Among them, a scroll. She takes it in her arms and hands it to you. Have a look, she says.
So he takes the scroll and then is still looking at her wide-eyed, but then forces his eyes away to look at the scroll and begins reading it.
Unfurling it, it is not a written account, but rather a work of art. You might remember way back in session 4 of this quarterly, Nameless Blade took a very important painting. One which, as I recall, portrayed, was it you?
Yeah, I think me as a little baby. And Granny.
It's my most prized possession, she tells you, her voice quavering, withholding some emotion that threatens to spill out, knowing that it would doom you both if ever she were to reveal her true feelings for you.
And then he looks down at the lock of hair in his hand. He hasn't given it to her yet. And what does Song Tian have to do with any of this? Why do you want this lock? Will you wreak revenge on him as well? Is he part of the plot?
Her voice begins to choke ever so slightly. I just wanted to have some piece of you. I know that you two love each other dearly, and I wanted something important to my grandson. That's all.
I think Jiang takes the lock of hair and what do you call it? Scatters it to the breeze. Grandmother, that is not Song Tian's hair. I feared that you would harm him, and I was going to trick you with the hair of another fox demon. But now that I've heard your story, I cannot bring myself to do this. And then he pulls out one of his knives, and he flips it, and he gives it to her. Pummel first. Is that the pummel? Yeah, the handle first. He says, "Here is one of my prized possessions. I want you to have it, so you will remember me instead."
She clutches it to her as if holding all the jade in China.
Oh.
I promise you, she says, never will I use this to draw blood.
I believe you, grandmother. And he takes a deep bow. And there are tears in his eyes because Jiang does cry. He's a very emo guy. This curse sucks. And I guess we could stop the scene there if,
That's fine.
yeah, just with a little tear coming down, falling into the grass in slow-mo. All right.
All right. I've forgotten who I said we would go to next.
Maria.
I suggest Maria.
All right. Wu Qiufeng.
Yeah. You have a scene idea here?
Well,
If you don't, I was intending to have a scene with you.
Ooh, that works for me.
so Yelang, how do you want to set this up?
So I think we'll begin with me holding out a small black bell that looks kind of demonic. You know, it's got spiky bits on it or something, and ring it, and a portal opens in front of me. A portal to hell. And I step through, and we see the headquarters of the Unseen Hand from the outside for the first time. And I'll let Maria throw some description in if you'd like.
I feel like have we seen the Unseen Hands like location before?
We've seen the insides,
Yeah.
but never like the, you know, what the outside of the location looks at. And I was sort of
I
thinking
feel like
we'd
it's
see that.
super craggy, just like rock splinters sticking out of the ground at all different angles, kind of like it almost like one of those like if you split a geode open, what the insides look like, more like just a whole bunch of different quartz crystals pointing in different directions, but they're made of the smoky, like the smokiest sort of crystals and rocks and minerals. Yeah, volcanic glass. And I think maybe is this like demonic bell that you rang something that like summons other members of the Unseen Hand?
I think it's just how we open the portal that allows
Okay.
us to
Yeah.
move back and forth between hell and the human realm.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want Qiufeng there at the start or like to show up after?
Whatever you like. I was just thinking, hey, here's the chance to describe our evil fortress.
I think it'd be cool if like there's something when one member of the Unseen Hand like rings the bell to like go back to open the portal, like other members can sort of sense that, and maybe Qiufeng like in their head was like, who else would be ringing this bell? Let's go see what Yelang is up to, or like take this opportunity to watch their rival, because that's all Qiufeng does is watch their rival. So maybe I think like Qiufeng is standing on one of the like edges of like rock splinters, just sort of a cliff. And maybe what else could there be in this? I want there to be lava because that's all I can think about is rocks and lava. It's a volcano. It's a pretty volcano. That's what this looks like.
Pretty volcano, and I'm thinking the actual building is just, you know, formed of these gigantic blocks of solidified lava, just stacked one on top of each other, kind of, you know, not real sort of measured and precise, but just kind of piled one on another, but very imposing, very large.
Yeah.
And with just this tiny little door, but the whole building's like, oh.
Yeah. That's the cool stuff.
But as I'm approaching, that I see you there. Qiufeng, you've come out to meet me.
I thought I would see what it was you were up to. It's not so often that you find the need to return to it's not really home, is it?
It's the best I have for now.
Are you here seeking our master's guidance?
In truth, I was here to seek you.
Oh. What need do you have to ask me for guidance? I thought you had the whole situation handled.
Indeed, I have. Things are now. Plans are now moving against Miao Renxing. And soon it will be time to, yes, much like that.
Exactly.
Soon it'll be time to make my move. So if you have your own plans, I suggest that you get started on those sooner rather than later.
I'm not one for plans necessary. I tend to try and see how events are unfolding before I make my move. I'm sure what you do would have repercussions that even I couldn't predict. And so should you fail or not succeed, I could be there to pick up the slack.
And actually, I think I want to roll inner conflict here because I really want to confide in Qiufeng, but not at all sure I can trust them.
Awesome. Which element are we going to go with? Let's see. And do feel free to mark XP.
Oh, and I can't use fire, which is the one that seems the most appropriate.
Just realize that these two have like opposite style elements almost.
Let's go with metal. Oh, an 11. Okay. In that case, I'll say to be honest, Qiufeng, I would welcome your involvement in getting rid of Miao Renqing. I knew that he must die. Knew that for myself, but I believe you have your own good reasons for it too. And so if you were to kill him, I would be pleased.
I think like Qiufeng, you can tell, looks a little bit uncomfortable at this like confiding. Like there's a little ruffle, almost like kind of like draws up the sleeves of their robes a little bit. Like, what is this? And they will like jump down from wherever they're so that they're across from you, and they have. You mean, of course, my involvement after you fail to succeed. Yes. Not. We're supposed to be going about this our own ways, not working together. That's not how the unseen hand works. Usually. We're not known for our teamwork.
Indeed. Your mention of our master brings me to another subject.
Oh.
He has encouraged me to keep an eye on you.
And you're telling me this against their wishes. How do I know this isn't some sort of trick to throw me off guard and uncover something that will give you the benefit of the master's favor?
All I can say is that working for our master fit my purposes in that it was a good way to pursue revenge against Miao Renqing. But I realized that once Miao Renqing is gone, I'm not sure I wish to remain in his service. And perhaps you might reveal this to him as well.
I think I might also want to roll inner conflict here because I'm facing emotional turmoil from my rival turning out to not want to be my rival in terms of killing the person we're both trying to get revenge on. And oh no, we may have lost Greg.
I'm still here.
Oh,
My
okay,
video
okay.
is doing something weird.
Yeah. So I will roll.
It should be connected. I'm gonna, I'll stick around for a bit.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm gonna roll with Earth for this inner conflict. Oh, well, from the heights of a 12 to the lows of a 2, we are reaching all of the possible, the range. I do not hold it together.
All right. So you get to mark XP twice. That's the good news.
Great. I get to advance at some point whenever we do advancements.
Yep, you could take that advancement anytime you want, but
Okay.
how do you react?
Yeah, so I think like the inner conflict here is yeah, Qiufeng being really rattled about all of Yelang's like the truths that Yelang is revealing, and also the thought of, you know, serving the master and what happens after you do your revenge. And these were not things that Qiufeng had thought about before Yelang did the terrible thing of bringing them up. So I think, let's see, what external reaction is there from not being able to keep their cool, essentially? I think it's I think it's Qiufeng like unconsciously putting a hand to the hilt of their knife, one of their knives, and kind of like, it's not a very big reaction, but I think it's just like a very hard glare almost at Yelang, like of like their face is just like furrowed, like you can see the turmoil on their face, I think, and they're not able to hide what they're thinking as well. And I like they might also reveal something about, let's see.
I'm kind of curious what Ascendant Wu is up to.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Qiufeng, do you say anything in response to all of this?
I'm trying to think if I do. I think they might say something about serving the master is not really a choice at this point, is it?
It certainly isn't for me. I thought perhaps since you've been with him for so long, you might have some insight into
You think I have?
how things might change.
Think I have more sway or more just because I've been around longer means I have an ability to do more than you against our master. I'm glad that somehow I've portrayed myself as having that. But neither of us would really be here if it weren't for his machinations within the realms of the living and the dead. And for that, we owe the unseen hand more than we might even know.
I realize it may be futile, but I thought perhaps you might feel somewhat the same way. You've been somewhat slack in your duties of late and seem distracted at times. So I thought perhaps you may have had similar thoughts. Well, no matter. No decisions need to be made at this time, but
Can I jump in here just real quick?
yep.
Yeah.
I just want to confirm. I want to make sure I out of character am up on the same page as everyone else here. So Yelang, you have revealed to Qiufeng. Is it that your loyalty to the unseen hand is in question exactly?
Yes. Yeah, that I serve unwillingly and am looking for a way out.
Oh, yes, yes. And Qiufeng, your response so far has been something to the effect of, well, we kind of owe them, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay. And I was gonna, yeah, as Zhang pointed out at the in the chat here, is this happening in the very realm of the unseen hands, in the volcanic labyrinth, constantly stinking of sulfur and black magic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, probably not the best place to.
Yeah.
So Qiufeng, I'll let you get maybe a quick, if you want, I'll let you get a quick response in before I'm going to make a hard move here.
Great. Lovely.
So how do you want to do this? Yes.
Can you remind me what the last thing Yelang said again? It was
No decisions have to be made immediately.
Made at this time.
right. I don't know if Qiufeng has anything in response to that.
So given that there was a miss on inner conflict, I think as Yelang says no decisions must be made right now immediately, the two of you will hear a hissing voice from the shadows, which is unmistakably that of your own master. And it seethes. I beg to differ. And you just see this kind of amorphous, shadowy silhouette, only vaguely human in shape, with the stark form of a pair of hands clutched together before it, gently emerging, breathing almost from the wall. The unseen hand says, Wu Qiufeng, Yelang has no humility. Our generosity has gone utterly unappreciated, and the time is now for you to prove your loyalty. Strike him down. And maybe take break number 2 here, because I know we want to see what happens with Greg. I want to give you a chance to fiddle with your camera.
Yes.
So let's take 5 here and come back at maybe a couple minutes past the top of the hour.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, we are back. I want to cut away over to Jiang for a moment here. Anything you want to do prior to getting back to Song Tian? Or any kind of scene you want to call, anything like that. I can tell you that Song Tian is definitely going to say, hey, there was a really strange man here while you were gone. What's up with that? That conversation will probably happen. But is there anything else you would rather role play out here?
So what I'm thinking is that after Zhang parts ways with the Violet Widow, he's pretty churned up, and he's thinking about Miao Renxing being behind, or at least one of the prime movers of the curse and all that. And he's remembering that weird guy who told him that Miao Renxing was not to be trusted. The weird guy in the black that visited him in his room at Blackwood Palace. And I see Jiang walking along the shore of the lake. And I think what he's going to do is he's going to, because he doesn't know where yes, you were right, where that guy is. I don't know if he even knows that guy's name. But I think he's going to use his Shadow of Deep Dreams move to and scry in the shore of the lake about Yelang, although he doesn't know that. I don't think he knows that even in Yelang's name. They weren't properly introduced. Just ominous warnings and such. Yeah, and I guess I should make the role. I think what I'm looking for is see what's happening to a specific living being. Well, I assume you're still count as a living being. Yeah, and so I'll see what happens. Maybe I'm going to screw this up, and we'll see what happens with that. And I think I'm going to use water, since I scry in water for this move, so I recall. And so oops. Let's see what happens. Oops, sorry. All right, so it's a 10. Damn, I wanted something bad to happen. Oh well. But what that means is I see what is happening to a specific living being at this very moment.
At what point do you tune in? Yeah.
I could tune in right now, or yeah, I think I get the gist that there's this evil, scary thing that just threaten both, that the two of you are together in this weird hellish place, and this is happening, and I'm watching. Is that okay?
I guess my question is, how much of our conversation did you hear?
Um, let's say that. So what? Give me the chapters of the first chapter of the conversation was you kind of
Saying, oh, maybe it's okay if you were to kill Miao Renqing, because
right. And then the second part was, oh, this crazy guy who's our master. Do we really have?
yeah,
to
once Miao
Yeah.
Renqing's dead.
Those are the two main chapters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's say I got the second chapter, but not the first one. So I know you were talking about your master, and I didn't even know you both had the same master. And then
But
now the
now
master
you
has shown.
You know so much.
And you can cut me out, David, at any point that you think makes sense.
Sure. Well, this is such a great interaction between Yelang and Qiufeng right now. I think maybe we'll keep you tuned in if you don't mind cutting back to them to see
Sure,
what Qiufeng chooses to do.
I want to.
Because what's going to happen here, I think, just forecasting, is you're going to see Qiufeng make some choices. And then you'll get back to Song Tian, who will describe Qiufeng accurately.
Nice.
This is gonna be fun. Yeah.
So what do you want to do, Qiufeng?
So the unseen hand is basically asking me to prove my loyalty to him by doing that thing. Like, I think I wrote it down. I took a note. Establishing dominance over Yelang, essentially.
I mean, at this point, they're saying kill him.
Yeah. Okay, great. As that's established dominance,
Not like he can't bring you back. So
Yeah, you could twice dead is just as good. Third time's a charm at living. Yeah, I think, just out of curiosity, can I find out what my grandmother is possibly? Is she around? Is she
Sure.
saying anything?
Oh yes, I think Ascendant Wu, I mean, to add some levity to it, is just I told you so, endlessly. But is at least, if you're looking for some degree of wisdom, telling you get out of here. Don't waste your life on this. Run is what she's telling you to do.
Oh man, though. Okay, yeah. I think just the fact that she says don't waste your life on this actually makes Qiufeng want to prove that they're not wasting their life on this. Because this is their second chance to make something of themselves and succeed. And yeah, I think this might be a PC versus PC duel, if that works, because I think
if you're actually trying to
I don't
destroy me, yes.
I don't think the goal would be to destroy, but I think the goal would be to wound. To make it look plausible that Qiufeng is actually all out fighting. And I think in this moment, yeah, Qiufeng might actually be. No, I think Qiufeng would still be trying to just wound seriously rather than actually kill.
Right. So
Yeah.
Run your sword through me, but miss all the major organs.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, if we're doing a PC versus PC duel, then Qiufeng, you are the one challenging Yelang. So this is where you get to state your offer. What will you give them if they accept your victory? You put one offer on the table, and once it's made, you cannot modify it.
Okay. Mhm.
And that doesn't have to be something mechanical. It could be narrative control. It could be, if you let me win, I'll let you narrate everything else. That's something that you can also do.
I think I think that if you let me win, you I think you can what I think is like you could decide what happens with Miao Renxing and or well not what happens, but like I'll just rewind what I just said because that didn't make any sense. Yeah. You get to narrate what happens.
Trying to decide what happens if I say no. We both mark an element, and I believe I choose if I lose or draw.
If you win or draw.
Win or draw.
Yeah. Which is also cool.
I like that. I will refuse it.
Cool.
And I defeat you.
Okay. Yes.
So Qiufeng, the good news is you'll get to mark XP for losing a duel. And how does this look?
I think if I can narrate at least like the start of the duel.
Oh, feel free to narrate any fighting you want and up until the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think Qiufeng's style is water and basically uses throwing knives. So I think in the moment of like inner conflict during the conversation, Qiufeng had like unconsciously like hands had gone to the throwing knives, and just at the moment when the unseen hand shows up and like says those words, their grip tightens and you can see like the white knuckles, and they turn around briefly as though like they're going to walk away, but then I think they will like spin and release the knife, and maybe there's just a flurry of movements as they fight, and knives are being thrown, and maybe at some point knives are caught with like maybe one flies past you and Qiufeng tries to catch, but yeah, that's how Qiufeng is fighting, and I think that maybe Jiang will see like that Qiufeng is the one that initiates the fighting.
And I think in fighting, I realized that I don't really have to worry so much about your knives, because my 72 method soul sucking sword is all about sort of using my energies along with the sword movement to draw things in whatever direction I wish to. So, pulling people off balance, but I realized that your knives versus my style do nothing, because I can just, whip it out, and before they even get close to me, I just send them quickly to the side. And And upon realizing that, I close in quickly with you, and I think quickly close in, and you go then to reach for whatever other weapons you use close-handed, and before you can even do that, I greatly injure your arm so that you can't fight anymore.
Yeah.
And just see you defeated on the ground there.
Coughing up blood somehow.
Oh, of course, you know, the universal symbol of, oh, you've lost the combat. So,
yes. Like,
you've spit up blood. Oh no. And
nowhere near.
And just say, perhaps I was wrong to have put any trust in you. And perhaps our master was wrong to think that you could enforce his will as well. But I will not kill you for now. And then lean in and whisper to you, there's still our master to deal with.
I think Qiufeng like spits blood on the ground and it's just like, don't take it personally. Some of us value our jobs, but maybe in a more dramatic and tone appropriate way than that. I just can't think of the words right now.
So both parties mark an element or your wounded box, or in the case of Qiufeng, you've disobeyed Ascendant Wu and you can mark them with that reborn move if you don't want to mark any of your other stats.
I will mark metal.
Wait, so if I mark Ascendant Wu, what does that do again? It just, until I advance their plots, they'll just be annoying and apt to cause problems. I think.
And you miss out on
Wisdom.
her benefit, which is finding you allies.
Right. Fuck. Yeah, I think it makes sense though for me to mark an element in this case. And I think it will be my style element because it clearly didn't work in this situation. And also my arm is sort of grievously injured. So I'll just mark water.
And I think, Jiang, that's where the vision blurs into the water again, and you find yourself back with all of your senses. What do you want to do here?
Wow. That was a lot for Jiang to process. After everything that he processed with Violet Widow. How would he respond to this? We can't do anything immediately because they're all off in the in the special land of volcanic glass. I think Zhang is had a lot to chew on and needs to go lay in his lover's arms again. So he's gonna head back to the cave.
Yeah, and when you get there, Song Tian looks rather troubled. He has a half-finished poem sort of rolled up and tossed to the side, and he is gazing intently into the ember remains of a fire, casting shadows upon his face, really accentuating the furrowed brow and troubled concern that you so lovingly treated before you left. It seems to be back. What do you do?
Song Tian, you seem troubled. And of course, he's forgetting everything that just happened to him. He's down. He goes down on one knee and puts his hand on Song Tian's shoulder. What has happened? Has your father arrived? Has he found us?
No, it was someone else. I was visited shortly after you left. There was a really cryptic man came by. He makes eye contact with you here. He said he was a friend of yours.
A friend of mine. Cryptic. Oh, pallid skin, chiseled features, long flowing locks. That one?
If that fits the description of Wu Qiufeng,
I'm
then
just reading
sure.
her description.
It's to a T.
Fur-lined gear. Wu Qiufeng. That one is cryptic, isn't he? What did he say to you? He has upset you.
They seemed protective of you, as if I was a threat. Something along the lines of if I should ever inflict harm upon you, I would have to pay, or something of that nature. Whatever the case, they seemed distrustful of me, and
Song Tian, I'm
they
so
threatened
sorry.
me. They threatened me, Jiang.
Again, the same pattern. With Cloud Crow, now with Qiufeng. What is it that everyone thinks they know who I should be dating? Everyone has an opinion. I'm so sorry. Don't worry about them. Please, let's curl up together because I have had quite a crazy day myself. And I just met my grandmother, who apparently is an immortal being who shares my curse.
Song Tian's eyes widen, and suddenly his confession about Wu Qiufeng seems rather inconsequential by comparison.
And Jiang says, so much, I have seen so much. I can't share it all with you immediately. But don't worry about Qiufeng. They're quite busy right now in some realm of hell, I believe. So they are not something to worry about at the moment. And when they appear, I will deal with them myself. I don't understand how they upset you so much, though. But here, come with me. Let's get some rest together. Maybe.
We can certainly fade to black there. Is there, I feel like we didn't uh cover a ton of stuff there with you, Zhang. We got the your scrying move, and then you met with Song Tian. Is there any other thing you want to do here? Maybe a follow-up scene or anything, or should we cut back to Yelang, who is probably going to be pursued by some cloak and dagger agents of the unseen hand?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would imagine that post the fade to black, uh, Zhang might be awake and walking about, maybe leaving the cave and just walking about in the forest a little bit to clear his mind. But I'm not sure what other scene would be possible unless you want to threaten Zhang with something again. Yeah, let's just leave it at that. I think let's see what happens with Yelang. I think there's if there's a oh, we're getting close to the end though. Anyways,
Yeah. I think we'll cover the situation with Yelang. Maybe, Qiufeng, you have any kind of last cinematic details to add, we can do that. But otherwise, I think we're nearing the end here.
yeah.
I will say
Final.
that the your evening with Song Tian is probably rather invigorating and refreshing. If you'd like, you can clear an element.
Ah, yes, that's a good idea.
Very good. So, Yelang, how exactly do you leave the realm of volcanic glass here? I mean, all other things held equal, what's about to happen is a swarm of underlings, all, of course, clad in black robes, clutching daggers that are serrated and at strange angles and, look suitably evil. They will advance on your position. And you would have the option, oh, hi kitty, you'll have the option to deal with troops or perhaps use your pursuit of vengeance move. That's what I'm thinking here, but is there a different result that you can think of if you don't want to go with that?
Okay, I am off mute. I think just evading pursuit and getting to some place where I can summon the portal to leave undisturbed.
And do you do that by ringing the bell?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that you're going to hear the unseen hand again with this hissing voice say, "Get him, underlings, strike him down, prevent his escape, draw his blood, etc., etc." It's all suitably dark. And you're going to see emerging from the shadows no less than probably a dozen underlings and extras swooping through the dark chasm in which you find yourself, sort of jumping from one shadow to the next. It's hard to track them all, but they are advancing on your position. And if you'd like, you can try to bolt out of there, maybe kill a few on your way if that's cool. But otherwise, if you want to engage your pursuit of vengeance move, this would be the time to do it.
Yep. Let's see what I have unmarked. Well, I think fire just for the speed. So. Plus, then I can have all my elements marked. Oh, and 11.
All right.
So yeah, I
choose
think
two.
I think I managed to wound a couple of the soldiers coming at me, but soon realized that there's many more than I can handle, and quickly slip away into the sort of volcanic labyrinth, and we just get scenes of me, seeing soldiers up ahead and quickly moving off, and then cleverly hiding as they run past, and then sort of leaping up on top of the labyrinth, like leaping up onto the walls and moving to a different path, and managed to throw them off that way. But where will I go? Well, for maximum dramatic effect, I should go seek out Jiang. Though that can certainly happen later.
Okay.
But I think that's my plan, is just go back to, Ardent Maple and those whereabouts and start seeking him out.
Sure. And Wu Qiufeng, you get the last word here. How does this episode close?
Does the unseen hand have any like comments on my failure, or do they tend to the pursuit and kind of just leave me alone?
The unseen hand does not tend to the pursuit. They stay there. This black, smoky cloud just staring at you. And they don't say a word, but you palpably feel hatred and resentment and judgment directed towards Yelang, to a certain degree towards you, at least the judgment part of it. But they don't say anything. And unless you do something to keep them around, they're just going to meld back into the wall, leaving you alone to deal with this humiliation.
Oh, I think I imagine that Qiufeng is just kneeling there, like wounded, and like trying to think of the right words to say to appease the like pure bad vibes emanating from the master. But I like maybe it takes too long, and like maybe Qiufeng's mouth opens, like they finally thought of something to say, like the right thing to say, but like by then, like the unseen hand has like disappeared again. And I think Qiufeng like will reach into their robes and pull out a similar looking bell to the one that Yelang had to open up the portal to go back to the other realm. And I kind of want Qiufeng to like, I don't know how this portal thing works, but like if Qiufeng is thinking about finding help at that moment, like possibly if the portal works in the way that like other teleportation things and other fictions have worked, like teleport you to something that you're thinking about, like could Qiufeng just like pop up in front of Jiang somewhere bloody and wounded?
Sure. I mean, it's fine with me.
Yeah,
Because I just
Well,
said John was
Well, you
walking.
know Jiang is likely to be at that cave.
right.
And I've never been to that cave, but you have.
Yes. Yeah, and I don't know if we want to see this scene this week or save it for next
It's a
week or
good
whatever.
cliffhanger.
Yeah, like just Qiufeng like stumbling out of a portal and like falling in front of the cave or something like that.
Yeah, if Zhang's just at the entrance to the cave, getting some air, like I said, he got up afterwards, and then he sees you. And maybe that's instant inner conflict for Jiang. I don't know. We'll have to see. Because he just saw you try to kill Yelang. My master warned me about you.
It's very complicated. Okay.
All right. Well, then we will go ahead and close out there, and I will end the recording.